Do you want a simple and easy do-it-yourself worm box? In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a very simple and easy do-it-yourself worm bin that you can do with just a Rubbermaid containers. Hi, this is Jeremy Starke from Green Thumb Gardener, here to give you some tips, tutorials, and reviews for all your gardening needs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a very simple and easy do-it-yourself worm bin box that anyone can do with just simple materials that you get from Walmart or Home Depot or Amazon. And basically, one of the main materials that you're going to need is a Rubbermaid container. But before we get started, if you have any questions or if you have any comments about what you do for composting, make sure you drop a comment in the box below and let me know what you're doing for composting. Also, if you could give us a green thumbs up if you do like this video and you find it helpful for you. And also, if you want to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell to get notified of any new videos that we have, if you want to see similar content like this that we have here. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into the show. So basically today we're going to go over a very simple method on how to build a worm box. Now if you guys don't know what an actual worm bin is, or if you've never seen one, vermicomposting, check out the link above right there. You'll see a little box pop up there. And I actually did a live video basically showing you what one of my worm bins that I have, what it is and what it does. So if you want to check it out before you do this, go ahead and just click on it up there and I'll take you right over to that video. But what I'll do is I'm going to show you the steps and the materials that you need, the steps that you need to do, and the very simple way to actually put this together. And then I'll show you what you can do, the best practices to get started with it. And as always, I will always have in the description below, I'll have a link to all the materials that I use. But let's get into the show and I'll show you how to do this and how simple and easy it is. For this project, you're going to need 3 10-gallon Rubbermaid bins that you can find at Walmart, your local hardware store, or on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below so that you know exactly which bin it is. But one of the things that I would look out for, what's neat about the bins that I actually got, is they have this little groove right here, and what that does is that when you put the 2 bins together, it leaves a gap between the bins on the bottom. And I'll show you why that's really important when we're starting to build this, because on the bottom part right here, this is where the bottom bin you're going to have is you're not going to put any particular holes in this one. This is just where you're going to collect the liquids that drain off from the composting. So it's really important to have a little gap in there so that the the liquid doesn't come into where it's composting, and because the worms don't like it too wet or drenched in water. When you're first getting started, you only need to have 2 of them, because you're going to be just starting out with 1 of them. But as your compost builds and you want to be able to harvest this, you're going to put the other container on there, and I'll show you how to do that. But first, let's get started. The first step that you want to do is, once you get your bins, is on the bottom of 2 of them, what you're going to do is you're going to put a bunch of holes in the actual bottom of the bin. So you want to get a drill. So you can get your regular hand drill, and I use a 1/2 inch drill bit to do this. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go through here and just drill some holes in here. All right, once you've completed that, you want to have the whole bottom of it. It's going to be all holes on the bottom of it. You want to do that for the other bin as well. So do that for the second bin. The third bin, like I said, you don't need to do this for. Once you get through that and you have all the holes drilled in there, the next additional step that you want to do is on the side of the bin. I like to just put some holes in there, maybe like 3 or 4 holes. And I use a much smaller bit, so I use a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch bit if you have that. So you want to put 4 in each side right here of the actual bin. And then what that does is that allows the air and oxygen to get to the worms, because when you have this closed up and you have the cover on top, it can be not completely airtight, but That way they will ensure that you do have air in there. So I just say to do that. Plus, one of the other things too is if you leave this bin outside, you're going to get some other critters that are going to come into the bin that are actually really helpful. But you don't want it too big because you don't want the flies to get in there. So if you have really small holes, the flies that you see, the common house flies and things, they won't be able to get into it. So, you know, if you have an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch bit, all you need to do is drill that. So once you get that all situated, when you're first starting this out, you just want to have 2 bins, like I said. So the bottom bin is where you're going to be collecting all the compost tea in here. So once you get all your holes drilled out, you want to basically put the second bin in, make sure that it's nice and snug. And then what I do is I take some newspaper and then I just line the very bottom of the bin itself. What this does is that it will prevent the worms and, you know, any other things from going into the bottom container, but yet it will still be able to drain out because it is newspaper and eventually it's going to kind of break down in there. But I put on the very bottom, the first time I do it is I put just a layer of newspaper. And then one of the other materials I like to use in the worm compost bin is some shredded paper or shredded newspaper. So I do also just put a little bottom part of it right on the bottom of it. And you just want to make sure it kind of just, you know, it's all over the place, just so that it's nice, because the brown material is one of the things that you do need for good compost. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to get the worms itself. Now these worms are not the ones that you find in your garden, so you can't use those particular worms in here. They're not going to the same amount of work that you want to have. The particular worms that you want to have, and I'm not a worm expert, but they're called red regular worms. And or night crawlers, I believe. You can use them. I think a lot of people use them in their bait, fish and bait as well, because they wriggle and the fish seem to love them. But they're basically special type of worms that I guess they're native to certain parts of the country. But what I'll do is I'll also put a link in the description below, and I'll have where you can actually get the worms itself, where I got my worms. But when they come, they're basically going to arrive in like a bag, like almost like a cloth bag or something like that, and they're going to have some kind of peat moss, maybe a little food in there, just to help get it started. So this basically will come in some kind of bag. And as you can see, I have, these are from my other worm bin. If you haven't seen, I'll put a link in the description below so you can see what the actual worm bin is itself. But in this one, basically all the worms will come in here. So what I do is I'll put the actual worms in one corner of the bin, and then I'll start feeding that particular area of the bin. I'll kind of move across. And as I'm feeding, I'm putting in more of my material in here. And then eventually the worms are actually going to reproduce, and they're going to just basically fill this whole bin up, so you have a whole community of worms that will be in there. So you do that, and you just put your food, like for food scraps, I just throw some broccoli in here. I mean, usually they like to have smaller scraps than this, but like I said, I try to keep it simple. I'll throw this in there, and that's pretty much it. I'll cover it up with that. And then you also have a cover that you want to put on top. So you'll put the cover on top. And when I leave this outside, I don't really do anything with it. I just keep it raised up off of the ground, and it's very simple. The only drawback that I don't like about it, and I do have this in a covered area because of this, is that the covers sometimes they'll have a place where the water can pool. So I try to keep mine, in a covered spot outside if I can, so I don't have to worry about the water getting on there. But every once in a while you might have to do that, because you don't want to get water in these bins, because the worms don't like too much water. They do like some moisture, but they don't want to be drowning in this. So you want to make sure that you keep them somewhat dry. But hopefully you found this helpful. If you do, give us a green thumbs up for this. Also subscribe to our channel if you want to see future content like this. Also, just want to let you know we do have a Facebook page. You can find it in the description below, where we do actually live videos on Facebook, usually every Saturday around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you wanted to check out some quick live video of us just giving you some tips, you can check us out over there and give us a like on that page as well. And as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.